Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.
Good morning and welcome. I somehow removed myself again, but I'll figure this out. Seems like everything I touch my computer is really sensitive today. I want to welcome y'all to the room. This is my podcast, and it's broadcast from Southern California, and I do this twice a day, and 7 days a week. That's 14 podcasts that I do. Now, there we go. I know that most of you, this is new to you, and it can be very uncomfortable fighting CPS. Now, the CPS that I'm describing is the child protection system of every county of every state. Every state has counties, and within the counties, they have a social service office, and the branch of it is what I call the child protection system. Now, other states and counties may call it different names, but when I say CPS, I mean the child protection system. And it's the part of social service that has social workers that are supposed to protect their children from neglect or abuse and help families in need for food, shelter, clothing, education, transportation, and medical, and also to get a job. Further, if they plan to break up the family, if they have to because the children are in imminent danger, they're supposed to do family reunification because studies have shown the best parents are the biological parents. Now, as I say, you found me on Facebook, Fight CPS, Bob Pace Fight CPS. My evening show is Fight CPS, Stop Taking Our Children. And this morning show is, Fight CPS with Bob Pace, and it's to really keep our children. And I'm not an attorney. I'm a married man with 6 children and been married for 32 years. And I have a lot of experience with families. This is my second family. I did have a marriage for 10 years. So, collective, I had over 40 years of raising children, and some of my children in their 30s and 40s, and still some are left in their teens and early 20s. So what happened to me, unfortunately, that I was victimized. I was going through all kinds of things wrong in my life. And before I start there, I need to tell you my show times. I'm on at 10 o'clock in the morning for 1 hour Pacific Standard Time, the evening for 1 hour at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And I am here to help you twice a day. Now, on Sunday, I come on a little bit early because of church. I come on at 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. And then during the months of football, I have a football game I go to every Friday night lights. And it's to watch my son. And So I have a different show time on Friday. I haven't worked out the details, but I'll let you know as soon as I do. Um, so I warmly welcome all the emojis that you're now expressing, your thumbs up, your hearts, your smiley faces. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to this podcast, please check below the subscribe button, and you can also check the notification button to see when I'm on so you can be there all the time. And I have a lot of videos that have been recorded and put up so you can see my whole show numerous times where I talk about a lot of different things. I talk about 5 important rules that will help you with your case against CPS, because the majority of CPS cases that I've talked about or talked into, over 500 some, have been real negative. They have been a very warm experience. I'm not saying that all CPS is bad, but it seems a lot of CPS is bad. I encountered a very difficult, complex case, and a lot of people, like myself, have their children taken away, and they're not in imminent danger. My children were in class when they were taken. No need to take children when they're in school. That really makes a child really wonder what's going on, and they don't communicate. The county that I was in, Orange County, is very corrupt. And only goal is their motive is the money part. It's a $1 trillion business, not billion, not millions, but $1 trillion business. And this is true whether you're in Richmond, Kentucky, or in Prescott, Arizona, or in Oklahoma, or even on the Indian reservations at the Rosebud or the Pinewood Reservation in South Dakota. So that's one of the things there. Good morning, Faye. I hope everybody's having a safe time. I'm glad to see you this morning. I hope you're feeling better and things are going better for you. Now, to participate in this podcast, your first step is to find this room, and that's great. That's all you need to do. You can sit there and take notes and listen. But let's say you want to make comments or questions about things. Well, to make comments or question about things, all you need to do is type them in the comment section. Please show your first name and then show the city or county your case is from and the state. Furthermore, if you're from one of the 14 countries that have contacted me so far, you're more than welcome to participate, because CPS is for everyone. And all I need to know besides your name is the city, and then the province or state, and the country you're from. Please be complete with your CPS case. Please be complete with your case, which means try to start off introducing yourself. What kind of a family structure do you have? Are you a husband, wife? Are you girlfriend, boyfriend? Are you lovers? Are you a partnership? And then what about the children? How old are the children, and what are the sexes of the children? And then what were the allegations besides neglect and abuse? More details would help. Furthermore, if your children were taken, how were they taken? How were they taken? Did you give them away, or did they take them by coming to your home? What did they do? I like to know that part. And then lastly is where you at on your case. Are you at the beginning, the middle, the end? You describe that. But if everybody started that off, there'd be less ping pong back and forth finding out the questions. Now, I did mention countries, and I said about 14 of them. It starts with Bangladesh, New Delhi, India, and then a country up in the Middle East that was in Arabic, and I couldn't make it out what it was. And then the continent of Africa. I've had Liberia in the north along the coast on the west side, text and ask questions. And then I've had Rwanda, which is a small country in Central East Africa near Lake Victoria. And they went through a horrible time of civil unrest where millions of people were murdered and killed and tortured and maimed. Furthermore, the women, 500,000 of the women were raped, and they were trying to die out the race by having men infected with AIDS rape the women. And that is wrong. That's wrong. And they've recuperated and they're better today. Then on the East Coast, I have Mozambique, opposite Madagascar Island on the coast there, the East Coast. And then, of course, South Africa, the West Coast province. Then we go up to Europe, and I had England, Scotland, and Wales, part of the United Kingdom, and then Denver and Sweden. Across the pond, I have North America. I've had several of the provinces of Canada. I've had all the 50 states, including Washington, D.C., text or call in with comments and so forth. I've also had many of the indigenous people of the North America. They are called Indians because Christopher Columbus, when he was searching for the East Indies of the spice and things like that, when he saw the indigenous people down in Cuba and down in the Caribbean, he called them Indians, and that's how they got their name. There is in the United States the Native American Indians. They're the first immigrants. They came way over from the land bridge from Asia to Alaska. Also, the Indians in the Canadian are called the First Nation Indians. So you have the First Nation Indians and the Native American Indians. And I've talked to several of the tribes from British Columbia, and then down in South Dakota, the Lakota Sioux from the Rosebud, and then Oklahoma, the Cherokee, and the Mohawks, not the Mohawks. There's 548 federal tribes that are recognized by the federal government. And so I think it's important, they are very important people because for 150 years, their children were constantly adopted out of the family. They knew nothing about family reunification. And so in 1978, the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act, was made, which forces the CPS workers to ask if there's any native Indian blood. And then if there is, are they registered or could they be registered? And so then the children are placed with the Indian reservation with the tribe, and then the tribe in turn finds a home for them, an Indian family home, to do reunification instead of constantly being adopted out. It's terrible how the American Indians have been treated. It's terrible where they are. They were a proud people, the first immigrants to North America. They're a proud people, and they immigrated all over the place. Long before the Vikings and the Dutch and the Portuguese and the English and the French and the Spanish all came over to explore North America. So we've had talks with the tribes, and we've talked about the ICWA and so forth. So it's a diversity of people I've talked in this podcast. And I'd like to meet more, so feel free to interact more. And the second way to interact is that you're going to maybe have a comment or a question. You may have a comment or a question. Now, when you type in I've already talked about that, type a question thing. A third way is to be a guest. And I love to have a guest. It's really important that we have guests on the show so we can help them out with your case, hear how you fought CPS, what has done your case, how can we help you? You'll be able to talk like I am. I have 9 spaces opened up for a total of 10 people on this podcast. All you have to do is email my show producer. Her name is Grace, and she works behind the scenes, and I want to thank her very much for what she does to make this podcast an important podcast. So you just email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. It's Grace at vincentwdavis.com. And you send in one of my shows, my morning show, evening show, Saturday, Wednesday, Monday, whatever. There are 14 shows to turn into her. And she will contact you with a link to go on a program we use called SteamYard. It's the application. So when you get that link, you can go on there and be on my podcast. And she will tell you what to do and not to do as a guest. Now, I'm broadcasting on YouTube, as you can see right now. And if you happen to get knocked off, use the same link. That link's good for your show. So use that same link again. And then she'll talk to you about no eating or smoking on the show. We do not use children, judges' names, or social workers' names on the show. I try to be very professional, and I want my people in this room to be professional, so respect one another, because this is a hard thing to go through. I've been going through it for 15 years. Unfortunately, I lost my job in 2010 at the age of, the age of 60. And I had already worked for 50 some years. I started working 45 years actually. So I started working when I was 15. So I've been working forever at a lot of different jobs. And when I got laid off, it was through no fault of my own, but it was horrifically happened at a bad time. When you're a senior, you're supposed to be in your golden years, and I was working, but I lost my job, again, through no fault of my own. And so I've been trying to find work, steady work. I have found some work, but it's been sporadic. And I do need to find a secured career type job. Well, at that same time, my in-laws, my wife's mother, father, 3 sisters, and brother were trying to steal our children. They've always wanted our children, our 3 youngest children. And they would call in from Ohio to California to talk to the social worker and say that we weren't taking care of our children, we neglect or abuse our children. Well, the stories they came up with are ridiculous, like we weren't feeding them or showering them. They never went to school and things like that. And I have all the utility bills, all the food bills I buy, and all the medical reports have gone there. They played sports, AYSO soccer. They played volleyball, and they played football, of course. Football is a big sport. And they were very academically stimulated because I had put them in, one child was in private school. The other 2 were going to go to private school. One of them did, but the other one, my daughter, was taken from us. She was actually trafficked into foster care and robbed us of that child because she was coached by the social worker who had revenge on her mind. That's it. They do revenge. They do revenge there. So, send that email so you can be on the show as a guest. My last one is my phone number. I just put it up, and it's 626 698 0990. It's 626-698-0990. That's my office number. It'll ring my phone directly to my line. I will answer it. I only answer it during my show hours, not before my show hours or not after my show hours. So it's open. You can call me right now. It's very important that you do. That would be great. Let me see. Angela Ray, you were in yesterday, and thank you for your prayers. Angelina Ray, I have no idea where you're from. Faye's from Richmond, Kentucky, a single mom with 2 children. She's taking care of her special needs son. He's in his 20s. She's trying to get guardianship of her son because he needs help. Her daughter, she'd been fighting for 13 years. They just reopened her case again. And she's trying to get a communication to her daughter that she loves her daughter. It was not her fault for her being taken from her. She had to make the ultimate sacrifice or choice that the Kentucky CPS likes to do is what child do you want? They wanted her daughter. And so she had to choose between her son or her daughter. No parent likes doing that. And on top of that, if she's a good parent for her son, why is she not a good parent for her daughter? But anyway, she wants her daughter to know that she loves her. It's not her idea that she was taken away to be adopted. So this adoption process, the way the child protection um, system works, is awful. You're going to go through many, many awful things. So I can talk about a lot of things. I can talk more about my case, more about a social worker, what they are, what they do, and how bad they are, more about the CPS system, how it works, and what you need to do is fighting your case and so forth. I have lots of topics open up. I can talk about that. And furthermore, I can talk about a question and answers series through Quora Digest. Quora is where people write questions and then they make answers, and you could see if you agree or not agree. Also, I have mine geared for CPS, meaning that everything that comes up that's CPS related is sent to my phone, and so I can talk about that. So I'm in a lot of different directions to go. Um, Faye, is there anything particular you like to talk about or have me talk about before I go ahead and start to do something? Okay. I think what we could talk about, we haven't talked about in a couple of days, is read some questions, answers from Cora. I put something up there. Okay. Um, Angelina, do you know what city or county you're from, state? Did you want to ask a question by doing a comment? Um, Let's go to Course Digest and see if there's a good question we can work on. Here looks like a good question. The question is, what should I do when my court-appointed attorney only wants me to plead guilty? Try asking your court-appointed attorney to explain to you the particular facts pertaining to those charges as you make your attorney hold the belief that it is your best interest to plead guilty. Although a court-appointed attorney is provided by the court and is paid from the taxpayers' pockets, they have an obligation to their clients to always act in their clients' interests. Well, they may, but they won't. That, of course, does not always mean that the attorneys will always avoid letting its own sentiments overcome its legal training. But having obtained from the attorney is a detailed explanation of advice on your plea. You can work out your own mind whether you think that it's good advice or not. That is when you must avoid letting your own sentiments overcome your common sense judgment. Well, court-appointed attorneys are starting out lawyers that have been to law school that are just criminal attorneys. The area that you're in is called dependency law. It's juvenile family dependency law is where you want to be in. You want an attorney with that background. And also, you'll find that court-appointed attorneys have a caseload of 30 or more clients. They don't have time to talk or fight for your case. When I met my court-appointed attorney, it was in the hallway outside the courtroom. In Orange County, California, you're not allowed in the courtroom. It's ridiculous. You're not allowed in the court, so you can't see how they perform or what they do or said, which I think is wrong. My court attorney was a woman, and she just did what she thought it was best because she didn't have much time, and she didn't want to fight where it would take a long time. So I had a rude awakening to a court-appointed attorney. They did nothing for me. Their background is terrible, and they're too busy to defend. And they're friends of the court. They have lunch or plays golf with the judges or the other social workers, attorneys. They're pals wows. And with you not present, you don't know how they're performing. So that leads into my first rule. You need an attorney, whether it's a court-appointed attorney or whether it's one that you hire. It's very important to have that attorney trained in the background of dependency law with family and juvenile. Family, juvenile, dependency law is the area that you want an attorney to be in. Now, I have an attorney. This is my rule number one. His name is Vincent Davis. And he is a very hardworking attorney that's been fighting CPS for 35 years. He's a trial attorney. He can get your kids back. He also has done lawsuits against the CPS, both in the state and federal, and won millions of dollars back from them. So he's the real deal. He's a fighter. He's not afraid to stand up to them or fight them because there is a lot of corruption that goes on. Now, I've worked out an arrangement with him that there's a ticket on the bottom of my screen that if you want to have a Zoom consultation, a private Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis, all you have to do is go to this website. It's 30 minutes long, and it's https://candidly.com/apps, APPTS, VWD /Bob Pace. When you go there, you can sign up for a consultation. Right now, I'm trying to negotiate And as soon as Grace gets up, we'll get it straight out to you. So I am working on that, Grace, if you hear me. The problem is that I don't know how to do a screenshot because the way it looks on the message that Vincent Davis wrote me is that you have to view more. And when you view more, it doesn't copy that part. So that's where my predicament is. But I am working on that for you, Grace. Now, you go there to https://candlysclendly.com/apptsvwd/Bob Pace. And it'll be a great experience for you. I'm not saying you have to retain Mr. Davis. At least talk to him. Hear him out. He knows the strategies of how to fight CPS. He knows how to fight them. He's won many, many times a case. He's a trial attorney. He's a real deal. He's a pit bull attorney. He knows how to fight. And he will practice it whether you're in other states. He has a case in Oklahoma, case in Northern California, and several cases in LA, Orange, and San Bernardino counties in California. So anyway, I really emphasize as you get yourself an attorney, either make the court-appointed attorney work for you, but be aware that they may not be the attorney for you. So you got to hear him out and see what he does. He or she, I should say. So that's another benefit. As you know, Vincent Davis has a podcast every Saturday for questions and answers. And you should attend that. All you have to do is be a member, or if you're not a member, you can still attend for it. I think there might be a fee for it. As a member, you can join and get the latest news and updates and so forth. And it was on the website that was shown during Mr. Vase's little spiel. It'll show again at the end of the show, and you can make copies of it. You can make copies of that. So, and he also has podcasts himself. So he gives a lot of his time into free time into these podcasts and helping you. Because fighting CPS is like doing open heart surgery. It's very complex. It's very technical. And you can have a disaster if you don't know what you're doing. So that's my rule number one. Get an attorney. And I strongly recommend it because I didn't get one. And it took me a year to figure it out. And you shouldn't wait that long. The reason being, that could go into my rule number 3. That's where you're not supposed to talk to social workers or police. You're not supposed to answer your door. You're not supposed to surrender your children. There are ways that they can legally take your child. If you give them permission, they can take your child, but never give them permission. No matter what it is, do not give them permission because they're not going to do any favors for you. And you'll find that, if you got a doctor who knows open heart surgery, they go through medical school, internship, get a license, and then they mentor another doctor before they cut you open. Well, that's how CPS is. You're like Alice in Wonderland. You fell in the rabbit hole, and you're lost, and you go and you meet the Chester cat, and you go from room to room. Excuse me a second. I'm going to take a sip. My mouth is please dry. So you'll find out that by opening doors, you could expose yourself to being shot and dead. And I know that sounds drastic, but there's several cases I heard recently. A black airman, 23, on May 3rd of this year, opened his door to be shot point blank by a sheriff 5 times in his chest, and he died while talking to his girlfriend on FaceTime. That could have been avoided. The cop had the wrong address. And the cop, of course, was fired, and now he has a lawsuit against him because he killed this man needlessly. His training was not involved. He looked like he had no training or what, but it was terrible. So if you hear a knock on the door, just ignore it. They'll come again, and you'll be more prepared. You can have your neighbors or friends use special knocks or freshly door rings. You can have your neighbors do that. But you don't want to talk to social workers either, because what you say will be used against you. Same with police. If you're outside and you encounter a policeman or a social worker, be pleasant with them, get their name, but tell them, since this is a criminal matter, I need to have my attorney present. It's my constitutional rights. So you say, I like to reschedule this meeting and have them contact you. Give them your number. When you get back to your office, call me and we can arrange a time that my attorney and I will be present. They don't like the idea that you got your attorney. Now, you may not have an attorney, but it's a good chance to give you some time to get one. Also, get some out of your life there, because they're going to want, when they come to your home, they're fishing. They're trying to find things. You want them in your home, because your home's got to be a certain way. You want an attorney to tell you what to do. Also, you don't want to surrender your child. They got to have a warrant to take your child. They got to have a warrant to get in your home. If they get permission from you or from another family member, they can enter it. If there's domestic violence going on, or people are fighting or arguing and they're using weapons in front of a child or a child is involved, that's imminent danger. They're going to break in and defuse the situation. And try to meet to them at a place like McDonald's or Starbucks. Don't try to meet at their office or your home, because, again, they'll be fishing again. There's no reason. Again, they have to have a warrant to search your home. They have to have a warrant to talk to you. They have to warrant to take your child. That's a legal documentation that's issued by the courts with real paper and a real judge's signature during normal working hours, normal working days. If this date is a weekend or a holiday, then you know it's a bogus warrant. Also, the warrant has got to have it so that the judge's signature is stamped by the clerk, embossed by the clerk, so it's raised up so you can't alter the signature or change it. Also, it's got to say who's it addressed to, the people involved. It's got to be listed on the thing. Also, the children's names are listed, and what are the allegations are listed. It gives them the address of where they can come into your place, and also they tell you the reasons why they're investigating you and what they can do. They can talk to you or maybe take your children. What you ever do, you don't want to. You want to be firm. As long as you have an attorney, you're in good shape. Now, if you don't have an attorney, don't panic. You can still get one. But you got to make sure you pick the right kind. Too many of you are calling me and saying, I spent $10,000, I spent $50,000, and I got an attorney that didn't do anything for me. You need an attorney that can fight. You know, you could ask an attorney, do you have a dependency background in law? Do you do family and children dependency law? If the answer is yet, that's a good start. Then you want to ask them, Have they ever sued CPS and won? And if they said yes, they have won and they've won millions of dollars, that's another plus. Then the third one is, have they ever fought CPS and gotten children back? So if you get 3 yeses there, you got yourself a winner of an attorney. I know it may be expensive. You may have to do it with many attorneys. As I told you earlier, my rule number 1, you need an attorney, and Vincent Davis is available. And if you want to get him really quick, you can dial 888-888-6582. That's the law office of Vincent W. Davis. Tell the office that Bob Pace sent you, and you can talk to him about retaining him. Now, earlier I talked about a Zoom consultation. That's something different. This is where you want to hire him to defend your case. So there is a number there for you to do so. So my rule number 3 is you don't let them in the house, you don't answer the door, and you only surrender to them if there's domestic violence going on or there's a warrant that they've issued. And if you're outside, you don't let them in through the gates, don't let them into your premises. Remember, it's your castle. You defend your castle. Pretend there's an imaginary moat around it. They can't cross the moat. They can't cross the moat. There are corrupt CPS social workers. So I know you're going to encounter a lot of them. And it's sad to say. But you should be able to head them off by telling them that you got an attorney, you need to have them present. That attorney is so valuable. I had to sell my house to get my attorney, Vincent Davis, because my house is already maxed out as it was, and I had a big, hefty loan I had to pay. Now, another thing that comes across my mind is medical trafficking, which is part of my rule number 3. There are 2 types of medical trafficking that have been happening a lot lately. There's trafficking where you bring your child into the urgent care emergency because they're severely ill. There's also one where you're going to have a baby and you come to the hospital to have the baby. What's been happening lately is CPS social workers and policemen are coming into your room trying to grasp your baby. They said that there was a drug test done. You're not required. Again, you got to know your rights. You got to know your rights. I don't know how important it is to know your constitutional civil rights. And you can start on the internet. So with medical trafficking, they may hear something and then try to take your child away from you. Something they don't think is right or whatever. So I just want to emphasize, be careful. They're also going to try to say you may have mental problems. You know, we have a girl here, Natalie from West Hollywood, who the police came out and they're doing a welfare check. Well, if you don't answer the door, they can't do a welfare check. And if you're outside, you say you're perfectly fine. You don't need to let them see your children or get into the home. But with Natalie, the sheriff came to arrest her because they alleged that someone who reported her crazy, and the letter that she had from this crazy person, she showed the sheriff, and that's what they thought, that she was the individual. Anyway, she had her 2 kids removed. It's just heartbreaking. And they tried to, for 70 hours, find something wrong with her, but they couldn't. And the damage is being done because the children are so quickly, adopted into foster care. It's so weird that you can have a child within a day or two by declaring yourself a foster care parent and not have the background or the time or energy you spend in there. That is really, really mind-boggling or hard to understand. So be very careful with medical trafficking and mental things like that. You don't want to say anything crazy. You want to say very little, just your name and yes, no answers. That's important. You need to have the attorney present for yes, no answers. And I want to jump to my rule number 4, which is you spend a lot of time researching on the internet like I have. I'm talking 60 to 80 hours of research time. You want to look up everything there is about your case and your location and so forth. Good way to start off is you put the city. And if your city's not big enough, like Athens, Georgia, you could say Atlanta, Georgia. So you say Athens and Atlanta, Georgia, and then you use the letters CPS and then describe what you're looking for in CPS. And it'll give you all kinds of information. And you can find yourself very tolerable there. Now, in this research, anything after CPS, you put down the judges in your city, how CPS, there must be a guidebook. Like Maine has a beautiful guidebook for parents to follow. Texas does, Oklahoma does. Lots of places have guidebooks that help you. And then you want to learn all there is about the enemy. I mean, that's all there is. You're trying to find out things that are not true and so forth. So I'm recommending that all of you spend some time, 60 hours, 60, 80 hours on the internet. That's my rule number 4. And since I'm talking about rules, I got 2 more. I got rule number 2, which is how you organize your notes. It's so important because your case may go for years. And one of the most important documents you can put in a notebook is your timeline or your incident report. Now, incident report is where you show the date, the time, the location, and the people involved. And then the next sentence, okay, I got someone calling in. Okay. Hello, this is Bob Pace.
Hi, I am tuning in currently to your show.
Okay, you're listening. What is your name?
I go under Medina.
Okay, welcome, Medina. And what city or county are you from?
Lake County, Illinois.
Okay, glad to have you, Medina, from Lake County, Illinois. I've had several people from Illinois lately. And so I welcome you. And what is your question or concern?
My question is, what is too much when it comes to harassment? Because I have to be very careful of accusing of harassment, but it's just been an ongoing, continued problem for many years. And so I'm learning, and I know that they're doing a lot of things that they're not supposed to do, or things that they've done that they weren't supposed to do, and it's just at times very overwhelming.
What you need to do is you need to, first of all, recognize they're doing all that so they can make money off you. It's $1 trillion business. So they're not your friend. They're going to bring you up and slam you down. They're going to make your hopes up and then not have hopes. They're out to get you, and they want to have your child adopted through the foster care system. And what you can do is you track everything, you document everything, you even can record things. You need to let them know that you're recording, but you can record things and document things. Also, you need to discuss that with your attorney who you have that's fighting your case. You need a pit bull attorney.
Well, yes, I've been doing it pretty much on my own, and after 3 years, it's been continuances for administrative hearings, and I just thought I finished it out, good or bad. I was just so exhausted. And the day after, it's another new case open that I just found out about.
Oh, they'll do that purposely. They lead you on. Fighting them yourself is not the way to go.
Definitely.
I've done that. It's not the way to go because there's so many things and technicalities in the courtroom they can get you on. They're hoping that you want to do it that way or use a court-appointed attorney because they know they got you. If your children are using a court-appointed attorney and you and your spouse are using a court-appointed attorney, then they'll get you. They'll keep you a long time. They make a lot of money. They make a lot of money.
Well, that's the weird situation. They never removed them from my physical custody, my physical presence from my home.
What were the allegations?
I did. At allegation 10.
Like in more detail than neglect or abuse. What was it? What were the allegations?
Both.
Okay, and then what was specifically the abuse?
The abuse that I beat my children with a purple broomstick.
Okay, and then the neglect. What was the neglect about?
That my daughter was found about 0.5 miles away from my home.
Okay. And how did that happen? Did you have a babysitter?
No, we were in the house.
And
we had an argument. Teenagers, yes.
Okay. This was a teenager and she walked out of the house.
Yes. Well, right. She was going to be walking the dogs. Yes.
Okay. Well, as long as you document everything, I tell there's a very important document called an incident log. It's like a timeline. You write down every incident related to this case, whether it's with CPS, the police, the children, the school, the neighbors. You record everything. All you do is you put the date, the time, the location, the people involved in the first line. The next line, you make a summary of what the incident was. And then the third line, you put down the outcome. And if you don't have the outcome, leave it blank and come back later. Then skip a couple lines to the next incident. You may have 40 or 50. That means you're documenting. That's really important when you sit there and they're harassing you and so forth. Also, you want to speak through your attorney. You want your attorney to do all the work. If you're doing the work, you're just going to let your emotions get in there and you don't know how the courts or the child protection system works. As I say, it's like open heart surgery. Are you able to work on your heart, cut open your chest cavity? No, you need a professional, someone that's trained, that knows what they're doing. And that's why you need to find yourself an attorney.
Well, it happened about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Same day that the case was open, I was, I guess, unbeknownst to me, was closed by the sheriff's department. However, where I messed up was upsetting, and I mean highly upsetting, getting into an argument with the caseworker or the investigator.
Okay. Now, why was the sheriff? In my opinion, why was the sheriff working with CPS? I thought the sheriffs work on criminal matters. Why are they involved with CPS?
I thought they worked together. If it was cases.
Well, they do in a kind of roundabout.
She didn't get the memo that I was cleared right then and there, right, and that I could actually take my children home. But by that time, I signed a a safety plan for my children to be placed at a friend's house.
Yes, they got you to sign things.
There,
See,
yes,
the rules are you never sign anything and you never talk to them. You talk through your attorney. Your attorney tells you what to sign and what not to sign. Because you are signing something you don't know what you're doing.
But I did go to court and I got them back immediately.
Okay.
We still went through the juvenile process. It was still dismissed. So I wanted it to be expunged off my record. And 3 years later, we just finished it out on September 17th. And I just found out last week, as of September 18th, the case was there was a new case. Now, in between these cases, I've had more cases, marked them for harassment when they were unfounded. And they now are visiting the children's school. Visited the children's school, cool. I like it.
Did they call you from the school that they're interviewing the children? Did they let you know?
I didn't even know I was a case.
Well, they need to let you know. They need to let you know.
No, I did not know.
Yeah, that's illegal. You see, they violated
your. No, I had no idea.
I know, and they violated your constitutional rights.
They went back to my teenager school. Yeah, they went back to my teenager school 2 days later, and this time, what concerns me is that they interviewed her alone and is denying it. And I'm like, what? She has no reason to lie about that. So I'm going to be at the school on Wednesday to try to see what is going on, but yes.
Well, they're supposed to, by law, to notify parents that are interviewing children. They're also supposed to tell you.
No, not only that, I didn't get that interview. I didn't even know I was a case. I wasn't notified within 10 days. I've had, as of last week when I did find out, I've asked to know what the allegations were. Where is the paperwork? What is the hotline narrative consist of? Couldn't tell me anything. Wow. I've asked for the supervisor's names 5 times, even though I think I pretty knew who it was because I had went a little bit higher than them to find out. And I'm supposed to be getting a call back, and I've never received a call back. Because, again, I had to say, why are you in my daughter's school 2 days in 1 week? And when they got to denying the second time, I'm just like, something doesn't seem right if you're denying it. So I did call the schools up, and everybody is now denying that there was even somebody in their building. And I'm thinking, okay, well, through FOIA, you could sign it. You could find out who was in the sign-in list. I just don't know. And, yeah, I just think at this level, it's a lot of harassment. And I know they said, oh, well, you got to get up. You should just move. I can't afford to move like that. The area I live in is actually quite nice. So, I can't afford an attorney like that. I'm on a fixed income. I'm a single parent. I have a kid that's autistic. Sometimes it's very overwhelming, but I did fight from juvenile all the way through the administrative hearing where it would be continuances that I would not agree to. And so it's just where now I'm just waiting for a decision, but then not knowing I'm an open case for the very same thing of environmental neglect. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Nobody can give me any type of paperwork.
I can understand your predicament. That's why if you use an attorney, your attorney knows what to do or say.
I did have one of those before, but
was it a court appointed?
After 9 months, yes, I had a court appointed attorney. Yeah. I said, hey, after 9 months, what are we actually in court for?
Well, the attorney that is court appointed has a caseload of 30 or more clients. Plus, he's only schooled in criminal law. He's not schooled in dependency law. Absolutely. He has no background in family or juvenile dependency law. So that's court-appointed attorney is no good for you. It's just they're hoping you use them. I tell you what, you came onto my show that I'm running out of time here. I don't mean to cut it short,
No, 1
but
minute left. Yes.
but my time is almost up here. I end my show usually promptly at 11 o'clock, and so I would love you to come back to my morning show or my tonight show tonight at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, which will be in Illinois. I think that'll be 10 o'clock your time and p.m. Or tomorrow morning at the show time at the beginning of my show, and we can talk more about this. Can we do that?
Yes, please. Yes,
All right.
yes.
Thank you so much for calling in and sharing your story. Keep working on it. Don't give up. And I want to thank all my listeners. I want to thank Faye and Angelina for calling, for texting in, and also your emojis. Thank you all. Please keep trying for your case, and good luck. You will succeed. You just got to keep at it all the time. God bless y'all. And there'll be a short message from my attorney, Vincent Davis, that follows, so please listen. God bless, and I'm signing off.
Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out. Join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.